Okay. In the meantime, moving along with the bans here, we see Four Zoomers take away the Razor. Infamous on the opposing side. Yeah, gotta ban out the Viper. Always a hero that, in general, I don't think anyone's going to disagree with just being banned away, but with the TA in particular, that Viper just sort of ruins anything that you try to put together. So, mentioned for this Templar Assassin, you need to sort of empower it as much as possible. Empowerment also sort of means protecting from just straight up counter picks on the other side.
Yeah, and of course, NA loves their Vipers. We love being dirty. It's so funny now that it's this Storm Spirit, Viper, Medusa, Enchantress, all these disgusting heroes, just absolutely broken heroes that just win lanes and then win the game right after, you know. Who needs team fight when you can just go 40 and 20 last it denies in lanes, you know? It's good stuff. It's good stuff.
That's always been the NA way, right? It's just so much of an emphasis on winning your lane to the point where sometimes the rest of it doesn't even matter that much. If you have that early momentum, a lot of those teams just kind of roll from there and keep going. So that early emphasis is at times a double-edged sword, but have to wait and see just how things play out here. Infamous in the meantime, well, one final ban in this second phase. Okay, yeah. Similar to the Viper, the Venomancer also would have made life kind of close to impossible for your Templar Assassin, so they ban it away, and now, as we move into the second phase of picks, if you're Infamous, what position do you really look for here? I suppose that also kind of depends on where the Templar Assassin is playing, because you could still run it at the 1 or the 2 at this point in their draft.
Yeah, for me, if knowing Infamous, they have three choices here. They either slam the Alone Invoker, and then they hope for the best, that it doesn't get counterpicked. They pick their four here.
Ooh.
Neither. I was gonna say, or they look for a hero like the Tidehunter because the Ags build is so great versus the Medusa. They would really like to get as many tools as possible, but Pango is, I want to say, a soft answer. The only issue in Pango versus Medusa is you can freeze in that Stone Gaze, and if you do freeze as the Pango, you are just dead in the water. Usually the Medusa just right clicks you to death after that, but at the same time, you're playing versus a carry that doesn't naturally want to build BKB. Your Rolling Thunder will get off in a lot of these situations, but it is a matter of life and death where if you don't cut out that Medusa, you have to run away from the Stone Gaze. Can you take a team fight if that much of your roll gets wasted? It's where Infamous, I think, need to pick another big team fight spell to play around with.
Right. Feels like the Pangolier can certainly be useful, but can't be your only way in. Although, I will say that Pangolier, depending on its position, you could sort of sneak the Diffusal Blade build in there as well to just try and make that Medusa's life a little bit harder. But now on that Four Zoomer side, they are going to get the Beastmaster. So that kind of helps them deal with that Pango in particular. Of course, the Roar from the Beastmaster will be useful against anyone, but between that and the Stone Gaze, it's gonna be hard for this Pango to find actual avenues into this fight to be effective.
Yeah, I wonder with the Beastmaster pickup if Infamous decide if it's just going to be Michael's hero in the Pango,
Oh, and now the Bane.
especially with the Bane as well. I mean, really, for Zoomers, they are not short on BKB piercing abilities at this point of the game, but at the same time, if they do decide to make this Pango, let's say a four position, and they look for Oscar's hero next, they feel a little bit odd. It's that same situation where they have the Pit Lord Nyx lane in game one. If they go for the Tide Hunter now, then they have a Tide Pango lane. It feels awkward. I was gonna say, I feel like the Coddle's got to be the choice just because they have a little bit more of that combo play, and this does make it feel as if it's going to be perhaps I want to say it's going. I want it to be a mid pango, but I feel like it's just going to be a three pango paired with a four coddle, and that is also very potent. But I'm still concerned. I'm still a little bit scared here. I feel like now for Zoomers have a very easy time banning out mid laners, though.
Yeah, because at this point, you can just ban out mid laners, and if it turns out that Infamous are going to send one of the Pango or the Templar Assassin mid, then you're just okay with that as well. So they've really got their opponents in a rough position draft-wise. And now, yeah, there's those mid bans. They start with the Invoker, that hero you were mentioning for alone that they would maybe roll the dice on, but be able to make that play. Infamous, in the meantime, are also looking towards the middle lane, so at least they'll be even on that front. Take away the puck.
Yeah, and really, this stage, it's hard to draft for these specific moments, but you're looking at the rest of the spirits, Ember's still in the pool. We'll see if Ember stays in the pool after this phase. Of course not,
Nope.
because he is the good spirit. Everybody loves him. For Zoomers, I don't think they're going to pick Gunner Void Spirit. That's always where it gets brought down to. I think instead they're probably going to look for a hero that can very simply draw the lane if it is going to be Pango mid specifically, just because there is still that flexibility in Infamous. Whereas, unfortunately, when you get this late into the draft and there's so few heroes left around, you almost want to be the team that picks first here. I think that Gunner's going to be pretty happy where it almost feels like they're both pulling from the same pool now. So now four Zoomers just get the best pick because Infamous don't have the options. It's one of those kind of pesky situations where you don't really get to, I want to say, your most ideal choice. I don't know. The weirdest cool pick that I think Infamous could go for would be a mid Grimstroke. Oh, they picked Gutter Tusk. I'm
Okay.
excited. I'm happy. Well, that's going to be your bully. That's going to be your knockaround. We haven't seen him play this in a pro game, I want to say, in a very long
So,
time, if at all. But if you've been watching his stream, if you've been watching his pubs, especially around, I want to say maybe 2, 3 weeks ago, I mean, this was every day. This was every game. This was him just kind of walking around annoying everyone. Don't want to say he was the OG. I feel like maybe Tops would beat him to the cake there, but at the same time, he certainly made it a staple of not only his hero pool, but certainly pained the NA pubs for a good few weeks.
and it's just a hero. All these pro players are already aware of how annoying a Tusk can be. Now add on actual item progression and damage to it, and see how well you sort of deal with it. So it's going to be rough. Of course, Infamous now can maybe gear their final pick, their mid pick here, towards the fact that this is going to be a melee mid laner, which I don't know. You can get maybe a little bit of a range advantage there and try and maintain that separation from the Tusk, but what options are available for them to do so? They could still send the Templar Assassin mid. Um, I suppose the Death Prophet's still in the pool if they want to try and run alone on that. That would maybe beef up their durability in their team fight a little bit, but it still leaves them maybe lacking in damage and lockdown for that matter.
At the same time, though, I'm thinking of Alone's hero pool. I'm thinking if I'm alone right now and I see this Tusk, a melee hero picked in this position, you want to pick a hero that's just going to dumpster him, right? You want to pick a hero that's going to give this Tusk the worst time possible. And when I'm thinking of raged heroes that A, aren't banned, B, can really put this Tusk behind, I'm not really coming up with too many shots in the dark here. I don't want to hazard to say, SF is on the table, but it's the one of those games where I feel like all of the options are out. You're kind of left with a shot in the dark here. I could see them maybe going for a hero like Necro just because it's annoying and it kills things and it deals with almost their problems, but
Hmm.
I don't know what that is. I'm guessing Pango mid now. I would
uh,
hope it's Pango mid now. It's really strange. I don't know what Weaver does.
yeah, I don't really know
Oh no, Alone
Weaver mid
Coddle.
being ooh, a thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So they'll swing Michael onto the Weaver at the 4. And, well, okay. Coddle mid is certainly a hero that can sort of maintain that separation from the Gunner Tusk, and in the right circumstances, you do damage as the Coddle, as we have seen in the past. So, a situation that I think Infamous got forced into, obviously, but they still managed to make the most of a rough situation here.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, right? Alone is going to be able to farm. It is the game of cat and mouse. There's going to be a game underfoot here where Gunner is going to be looking for with usually one support for really all it takes is a snowball and a tag team. And if Alone is not level 6 or doesn't have his spirit form, just dying. Because that's kind of the nature of the matchup here. If you ever get caught, you die as Coddle. If you never get caught, you get extremely farmed and you outpace your opponents and you're the top net worth. I think really that's going to be the easiest indicator of this game. If Alone is ever not top net worth, Infamous have a very big problem. But if they can keep him farming, if they can keep his camps free and clear, if they could protect him with both A and Michael's bodies, then we could see Infamous kind of get a nifty little game going underway. But very item based, very level based. They need to play at a lead pretty much the entire time here, and they especially need to get an early Aegis for Parker. Whereas, as we typically see with so many of these lineups in our NA region here, if Nouns can just farm, they're going to be happy as clams.
And unfortunately, Well,
Really now, you should
I
have
will
seen
say,
that
at least on a
coming.
personal level, after what happened in Game 1 where Infamous gets so outplayed, let's put it as politely as possible, I was kind of hoping that they would come in for something that would just be a clear-cut advantage draft-wise for this second game. Obviously, this is still very much winnable for them, but as you outlined, they have some sort of specific criteria that they need to hit here. So part of that, I think, just comes down to how well Four Zoomers played this as well. You would love for Infamous to have just bounced back with a clear-cut outdraft, but Four Zoomers very rarely let their opponents actually do that. So now they've got a bit of a harder path. We'll see if Infamous can salvage some sort of 1-1 split here, or if Four Zoomers are going to be able to get the 2-0 sweep in their first series of Pro Series.
Yep, and I think that comes from four Zoomers just historically having such a deep hero pool on all sides. Usually they have a few staples that they stick around. What burns in my memory, especially with the acquisition of Moon Costabile, was whenever they were running Lena Tide for an entire tournament, and then they get into a best of five series, and then they run 25 different heroes in that best of five. I mean, it's a team that can always kind of change their gears up,
Uh-oh.
and Alone is going to take some damage.
Can they actually keep chasing him, though? No, well, okay, hold on. There's the Nightmare.
Nice wake
Gunner.
up.
That
This
could
is
be
still
big if
rough,
that's
though.
enough. Alone, can he still get away? Husky needs maybe one more hit. Gunner, though... Okay, never mind. I was going to say
Yeah,
he could
it's the
continue
it's
to
the wrong
chase.
side of the map.
Yeah, I forgot who's on what side. It's like, oh, he's got a tower. Wrong tower. So Alone does get taken down. The gold gets split. That's a little bit of a maybe salvage play, but it's still Alone going down early.
Yeah, no more deaths for Alone though. If he ever goes down again, I think they've got quite large issues. But that's where this Coddle does just kind of get to draw any lane he goes into, unless Alone really overestimates himself here. There's no real way for Gunner to shut him down. It's just going to be constantly Gunner farming his small camp and taking creeps underneath the tower, and that's where, until supports get involved, you are just going to see that farm fest take place in the mid lane.
We'll have to wait and see if Gunner tries to roll the dice on something risky. Gunner's certainly the player to take those chances, really, regardless of the matchup, but it's still going to be rough for him. Meanwhile, I want to take a look up at this top lane, because this is an annoying duo, right? Oscar and Michael working the Pangolier and the Weaver. They can be very obnoxious, but I don't know if they can do enough consistently for this Medusa to genuinely care or feel threatened by.
Yeah, at the same time, I really feel like the game plan is going to be a little bit split here. Michael, after he gets his level 2, is probably going to give a lot of that XP over to Oscar, because as we typically see, the level 6 timing is so important on that Pango. If he can get that level 6, especially before Husky is really able to counter him out, then you do see that free play be made. At the same time, though, Costabile is going to get every single creep that gets pushed into him, and then he says lane pushes in, and then Oscar gets right-clicked. It's very simple what Costabile needs to do to get his own farm in this lane. There isn't really enough damage between Michael and Oscar before that point to actually get a kill going, unless Costabile really oversteps here. But that's also where the Bane just stabilizes the safe lane so easily.
Yeah, always just going to be that sort of emergency backup presence in the Bane. Just throw a Nightmare in there, and it is hard for teams to really carry on unless they have just perfect coordination or they see the Nightmare coming. So see what they can do there. In the meantime, I was sort of watching this Courier. It was sitting under the tier 2 tower, so they're aware of the fact that Michael can sort of go looking for this play. I don't know if they know the ward is there, but they at least suspect that the Weaver has that vision. So, just got to be a little bit careful here, because Michael can always just Shikuchi up there and go for that sort of snipe out play. And I don't know, if you're Husky and you lose your Courier, that's probably kind of ho-hum, but if Gostopoli ends up losing his, that could be a little bit more concerning, as Husky, a little bit of right-click damage in the Nightmare, but nothing more than that.
Yep, 9 stick,
This,
Fairy
oh,
Fire. Yeah.
Z-Freak gets sniped out in the jungle, A comes over, and that combo is going to be a little bit problematic, right? Hit him with the D-Crap, you get him with your Nether Blast, you get him with the fully charged Illuminate, and that's just unbelievable amounts of damage this early on in the game. Speaking of damage, though, up top, Husky got jumped in on a little. Oscar made his way over to try and find that kill, but well, not quite able to do it. They do burn through some regen, but Oscar's only level 3. He's not really able to do quite enough to just snipe out the kill this early.
Yeah. Name of the game is still just waiting for level 6. Maybe once Oscar gets his Orbit Corrosion, you know, you could see them get a little more aggressive, but at the same time, Husky is always going to take this aggression for his teammates. But yeah, they do have that combo in the Coddle and the Pugdip. They are able to do a whole bunch of magic damage. We'll have to see what Alone goes for. I'm assuming it's just going to be the pretty typical Boots of Travel rush into maybe seeing him take a V-turn and get a an Orchid, but even more likely could see him just go for items like the Blade, just having a little bit more control, a little bit more damage. Even getting a Force Staff would be really good if he can kite out the Snowball. Just anything to make him survive is going to be massive this game.
Oh, dude, I loved that play. Alone just now. Went into the river, grabbed the Water Rune. He threw the Illuminate onto Gunner's side camp and stole the Cobalt. So you're just not going to prevent Alone from finding farm here. That's the long and the short of it. Gunner is keeping pace at least, but I think that's the best he's going to be able to do is just keep pace. As you said, if you're this Coddle in a core position, you just kind of get to either win or draw whatever lane you want.
Yeah, and Gunner has to look for those opportunities. He has to look to shut down as he does get kind of pushed back here, but it's also where, unfortunately for Alone, he is playing Radiant Coddle, which is slightly different. Dire Coddle does farm a little bit faster just with how the jungle camps are set up, and Alone is actually looking for a solo kill, which is kind of funny.
Snowball, though, but he doesn't know that A's coming in. This could be a bait. Gunner's going to get in some trouble. There's going to be the Decrep into the Nether Blast. Illuminate is charged up, and it's going to be enough, well, to drop him low, as A's the one to get the kill, but this duo striking fast, striking early. Z-Freak's rotation in is substantially late. I suppose he can maybe get a little bit of experience in this lane, but not enough to actually save Gunner. That's still just Gunner's first death, but this middle lane is rough going, although this could be a nice return kill. A is getting hit up. Can Husky get there in time for the Nightmare? No, he can't.
Ooh,
and since Husky's gone, they're going to go after Costabile. They're going to chase him into the tree line, and they get that kill. So Husky, I mean, you have to try and make that rotation mid, I suppose, but the cost of it's just too high now, and Infamous are doing a spectacular job of kind of forcing out that early movement from their opponents, and they got 3 kills on the board in 6 minutes. This is looking not bad for them to start.
No, it's a much better early game, and as we always talk about with Infamous, when their supports get off to a better start, everything just looks easier. Everything looks cleaner. They hit their level 6 sooner than their opponents. They get to actually make moves with confidence. As mid lane, the
Decrep's buying some time. Big Illuminate flying through. Z-Freak now in some trouble, trying to heal his way through it, and the shards, they don't quite catch, and 4 Zoomers have to fall back, but, well, they're giving it a try on some of these more aggressive plays as Michael runs into Husky. Not a whole lot going down there, but 4 Zoomers, if you're going to make those sorts of aggressive plays, you need to be able to find results here. Otherwise, you could start kind of falling a little bit further behind. They already are in that regard. You take a look at where Parker stands net worth-wise. He is kind of head and shoulders above the highest hero on the 4 Zoomers side for 7 minutes in.
Yeah, Z-Freak, he's been getting contested a lot bottom, but what keeps happening is he keeps on missing on the troll spawn in the large camp, so you're not getting that net, you're not getting that skeleton push coming in here, and there is a Hellbear to really pressure up Michael here, and the damage is, yeah, numerous, but at the same time, without that control, yeah, and he's so dead.
That's just rude. Yeah, Z-Freak gets taken down. Husky says, I need to go, and he'll back away, but this is going to become a problem. That's, that's the bots finished off by your Keeper of the Light, like 7.5 minutes in, so he is going to be a constant presence across the map here in terms of pushing power, in terms of actual just straight-up damage. 4 Zoomers, they don't really have anyone on their own side who's going to be able to play that similar role, at least not yet.
Yeah, and you look over at bottom, if 4 Zoomers want to get aggressive here, they need to really cut past these traps. It's the biggest benefit of this TA is you just get to leave Parker alone now, and you get to stack the triangle, you get to move away. How much time has A spent on his lonesome because the TA is just fine? And I think this is where very nice smoke from four Zoomers. They love to move in here, and seeing how Parker actually reads into this is actually going to be super important here. Oh, he
Tumbler's
used the hop.
toy.
It
Up
didn't even matter,
clutch.
but oh, that's so nice. He just gets to walk away now, and they get the Harpy with the Enchantress, so they do get a little bit of that vision. I think it's actually Moo picked it up with the Helm Dom, but at the same time, you dodge out, you move over to the triangle, no punishment in the rotation.
If you're four Zoomers, you at least get some damage onto this tower. That's got to count for something, and you might actually just be able to take it here. So we'll claim that first objective. That's going to free up Moo, who has the ult, and well, now has a little bit of free range. However, this is one of the things about Moo on this Beastmaster in particular. He is very much capable of rotating out, but a lot of the time, he does tend to kind of stick around in this bottom lane a little bit more just to try and force someone from Infamous to come deal with him. So he may not leave just yet, which means Infamous may not have to worry about his aggression for a few more minutes.
Yeah, and really, I think it's less so of him as an offlaner, and maybe more so as just he's always the Beastmaster guy in the region. It's just something that you do with this hero, and it's not a bad play. Unfortunately, this ward is beautiful from Infamous. I mean, glimpsing two cores running in your jungle, that's a pretty easy call to make here. And they certainly have the vision to make that collapse in mid, but it's just where very simply, as long as this creep wave is pushed in by the Coddle, you can't make that cut in deeper as Gunnar is just scouted out by a creep wave. Michael gets to dodge off the Shikuchi, and Oscar's actually here. This is absurd, yeah. I don't know if they could go for a jump that crazily, but as long as there's pressure on the bot tower by Moo, they can kind of make this work, but with your mid lane dying, I mean, they want revenge. Look at it.
Though Costable even joins the fight. Is he's holding a point? Actually, he's not, so he doesn't have his ult, but look at that roar.
Oh.
Big play from Moo. They just caught everyone. Oscar and Alone are already dead. A's going to be dropping here as well. Michael just gets to the high ground, but what a play from Moo. The roar connects onto one. It pushes the other two, and now Parker, I don't know if you want to be involved in this. He is going to try and back out now, but that means Michael has to eat that nightmare, and he will be sacrificed. Triple kill for Gunnar, and just like that, four Zoomers have kind of solved most of the issues we were talking about for the first 8 to 9 minutes.
Yeah, all it takes is a 4-0, and then you're on to the mid tower. I mean, I don't know how Moo has any business walking and doing what he did. I mean, they had the sentry down. They knew where the hawk was. I feel like Infamous just really didn't respect what was going on there, and unfortunately with Parker taking over the triangle, didn't really have trap set up mid, so he can't really defend his teammates. I mean, they don't even get the roll off. I mean, that was certainly not it, and see if it gets to TP away. Well, that's pretty nice, but hey, at least you didn't lose your mid tower, you know? You get to kind of chill. Unfortunately, all of those kills, especially kills going the way of Gunnar, just means that a Tusk that was certainly falling behind the other cores in the game is only 500 away from a Blink Dagger now. That is going to be the big concern, because if he gets to start rolling with kills again onto Alone, we're going to see big problems. Every death from this Kato going forward here is just going to be a massive setback. But yeah, top,
Bean's great
it's
to
clean.
start, roll in, punch him into space, and as you said, it's clean. There's no mistakes possible there unless you just take your hands off the keyboard. So, starting to get it going. The question I have for you, I'm not even sure if there's a definitive answer here. Once this Blink Dagger's picked up, what is the next play for position 2 Tusk? Does he go for more damage? Does he... Oh, actually, does he survive this? That's going to be the more immediate question. Snowball will buy him some time. Needs Husky to come in here. But I'm not even sure Husky can defend him. He gets a nice Nightmare down that's going to buy a little bit of time, but with the load coming into the fight as well, and there's just no way out. So Gunnar made to pay for that play onto Michael. His teammates get some revenge for him, and as long as they keep this siege creep alive, they should be able to take this tower as well.
And well, to answer your prior question, it is the Ags. It's always the Ags. It's the kick, the vector targeting kick, as the Moo narrowly TPs. Actually, not home, but back to the mid lane to keep the farm trend going. But the Ags is going to be a huge problem once he actually has it. I mean, really, the name of the game is whether or not you get an Ags or a BKB, depending on what you're actually going up against. I think in this game, BKB is certainly nice, but having that kickback is just brutal to play with. And Gunnar actually showed his hand. Okay, that's your blink reveal. A little bit weird.
There really wasn't any follow-up on that. Just jumps in, punches, blinks, and That's it. I don't know. I think maybe... I'm gonna say he thought he had teammates coming in, but that's not really the case. The Deuce has been in this triangle for a while, so it just looks kind of funky, but now they
Ooh.
are still trying to push. Moo thought about it. Have the range, but this is still very doable for them. They have the roar. They've got Gunner's damage. Husky's going to have Fiend's Grip up in like 2 seconds, so they're pushing their way forward. They got the tower first. That opens up a lot of the map for them to work with now. Can they find a target? Do they want this fight now? Because Infamous are really starting to rotate heroes over here. They could have the numbers advantage as... Yep, Affliction is going to kill the bird. And get the courier too? Yeah, okay. Little courier snipe there for a bit of extra money, but both sides still sort of tense here. Nobody wants to make that first move to push in.
Yeah, Gunner's kind of playing with his food. He had a sentry. He wants to get a punch onto the Weaver. As Roar onto the Pugna, I think this is just a very dead Pugna. Moo does have to be careful and actually has to look for an escape plan pretty soon here, but... Oh, Oscar! He's not going to be able to get... Yeah, he's going to get gripped. Well...
His TP's coming in too slow from Parker. He's not going to get there in time. And now he's kind of in the line of fire here. He's now stuck under his tier 2 tower because he just TP'd in, so... Four Zoomers are going to try to look for something. The only problem is they used a lot of their lockdown to go after those first 2 kills, but... They've got high ground control. They need to get this ward out of the way. That would be fantastic if they could take it down, but... Not really looking in that direction right now.
Yeah, and I'm looking over. At the very least, you're still farming very nicely on both the TA and the Coddle, but at the same time, you
Gunner.
need that Blink Dagger on Pango. But yeah, oh, so much damage.
Yep,
Uphill
he'll
miss.
miss.
Yeah, in the Blink, he's gone.
Can he hit the Illuminate? Nope. Yep, as you said, the Blink gets him away. Yeah, Alone giving him the tip there. That's a nifty move. Gets himself onto the high ground, dodges the attack, blinks out of the Illuminate, and... I mean, he should have been dead. Getting caught in that position by about 3 heroes, you pretty much had him dead to rights, but... Gunner's just a little bit too tough to bring down, but... Well, I suppose good news. As you said before, you're still, farming on your cores. Oscar just got his Blink Dagger, so... All of a sudden, the initiation from the Pango, which had been kind of non-existent through these first 15 minutes, is going to take a serious sort of knock up, and you got the E-Blade now on Alone as well, so you've got better initiation, you've got better damage. Feels like Infamous are poised to try and make some sort of play, though. Only problem is, at the same time, Four Zoomers are starting to get their ults back.
Yeah, and the other problem lies in this Beastmaster just taking over this bottom lane so successfully. Every time this bottom creep wave is in, you're always thinking about whether or not we need to kill him. The easiest solution would just be to take out the Beastmaster and his creep, so that way you have that pressure relieved off of you. But this is a nice smoke. It's going a little bit away from the Roche pit. They love a pick into the pit, but without the Deso, I honestly don't think they can do it too quickly. It's where Parker's maybe 500 gold short, but... They've got the traps, they have the vision, they know where Gunner is, but if they don't shoot in now, I mean, you see what's happening bottom. This is their tier 2 traded for initiation here, but I think 4 Zoomers know exactly what's happening.
Comes Oscar, though, looking to push in, but he's going to jump into several heroes to get the Fiend's Grip down, to get the Roar down. They've locked those 2 initiators down immediately. They're not killing them off all that quickly, though, and in the case of Michael, they actually haven't killed him off at all. They will get Oscar, at least, but the problem is... Can Infamous really take this fight? Parker tries to jump in, gets the melt hit onto Gunner, but they're not able to finish him off, and he has a regen rune bottled. Can just sort of step aside, heal up, and choose whether or not he wants to go back in. It feels like Four Zoomers really just trying to contemplate, do we want this fight? They have the numbers advantage, but it would still be hard. Although if Parker doesn't get back, he's just going to be by himself. The snowball actually goes onto A instead. They'll take the easier of those 2 kills, and they've locked down both of those heroes so far as Gunner's pushing in. Parker... A little bit of trouble, but he's got Alone there to back him up. The Illuminate flies through, and I don't really know if this is even a fight anymore. This is just sort of a strange retreat for Infamous. Oh, Michael. Snowball connects. Centaur stomp in to keep him locked down. He didn't have the time lapse anyway, but take no chances. Secure the kill. 3 in total for the side of Four Zoomers. They did not lose really anyone in that engagement themselves, and now you already had this bottom lane pushing in your favor, so they're right back onto the tier 2.
I was gonna say, miraculously, they were so focused on the fight that the creep wave gets taken out. They actually have to wait for the creep wave to meet before they can take it out. But Infamous were not able to take control of the hill. They just sat up top there very securely, and I think it really comes back to Oscar going in so early in that fight, was not patient enough with the Rolling Thunder, just gets gripped, gets stone gazed. I mean, it's already a rough Pango game, doesn't really have anything to do, while Parker, he needs his friends, like, right now.
Oscar rolls in trying to help,
That's it.
but it's not nearly enough. He's just so far forward there without backup, and I mean, that's a freebie, right? I mean, Four Zoomers will just take that every single time, and now they're actually pushing a little bit further forward. Gunner sees his opening, going in onto Michael, hits him up with the Walrus Punch. The Snowball comes in now as well, although, yeah, that's a lot of damage. Alone hits him up with the E-Blade into the Illuminate. Who was able to recover the gem, but now the Fiend's Grip's down onto Michael. They're going to try and blow him up. They do find that kill, and now look at Constabile. Popped the ult and ran in. I think he's got... Yeah, he's got a bit of a move speed buff there for a moment, but... Well, that really wasn't a fight that he could continue, but I'm not sure that they needed to. They got what they wanted. They find the pick off onto Parker. They get a secondary kill onto Michael, but with Gunner taken down, they're still a little light on damage.
Yeah, and more so, Black in control in the meantime. Aside from that roar, it is all really falling to the plate of Gunner, especially when Husky already used his grip. But at the same time, it is doomsday right now. We have that point booster almost completed up on Costabile. Then he has Scotty. He'd love to have it for this Roche fight. And you know that Four Zoomers are going to try to make space for Costabile. If he can somehow walk into the pit with that Scotty, that's huge. But without the Stone Gaze, I wonder if they just give this up and they look for a steal instead. But Oscar is so low. It really feels like Infamous are stretching themselves out very thin here. And I'm just waiting. He's 100 gold away from the Scotty. If he just is able to walk towards that pit with the Scotty, it's Four Zoomers that are going to be the ones to take this Aegis. And that is a massive problem for Infamous. They need to win this fight.
See them refusing to back away from the pit because, as you said, they really can't afford to right now. So they're sort of stuck in it at the moment. See how this plays out. Look at Gunner just sort of playing in between. Got the haste rune, so he's not in too much danger of getting jumped in on, but Alone just continues to sort of get in there. The Illuminates, the Blinding Light, just trying to keep their opponents at arm's length, but now that's going to be the jump. Too far forward. Pugna has no movement in that scenario, and now they've got Parker as well. They're able to hit him up. Buyback coming through immediately from A. He needs to be able to get in here and save his Templar Assassin, but the Stone Gaze now causing problems. Oscar gets locked down on the back line. He's trapped up inside the shards as well. Not dead just yet, as the right clicks can't bring him down, so he'll look to TP away. Gunner blinks in, gets the Walrus Punch, and that will be the kill, and they're going to look for a little bit more. Snowball now onto Michael. Not going to connect. Now if you're Four Zoomers, might want to take a step back here, because, well, they got more control of the pit, but oh my god, Gunner, he's just going to get taken down. No, he's not.
What a dodge.
Yes, he is. Husky almost made the miracle play there, but Gunner, he's got buyback. He's rejoining. He knows how important this Roche is. This could be backbreaking if they can get this one out from under Infamous. They're just going to go right back in. They've got the numbers at the moment. Oscar doesn't want to use the buyback now. And without him, Infamous really don't have a way into the pit.
Yeah, Spirit Form going away as well, so one would have actually had to stand there and channel the Illuminate. They're very annoying, but they're not that annoying, and this is a really big, I don't want to say mistake, but it's a huge issue that Infamous can't really address now. It's where the next 5 minutes are going to slow down so much, and it favors Four Zoomers so heavily. It's where they get to really build up all of these kind of supplemental luxury items. Costabile gets to surge forward. I mean, Infamous being unable to put the pressure on before the Scotty is really the biggest mistake I guess you could ask for. And Parker, he's certainly still a TA, still very farmed. He's only died once, but Moo, oh boy, got the Helm of the Overlord. He's got the grip. Needs to be so careful farming, but he has to farm the opposing jungle because you look over at Costabile, he's in his triangle. I mean, you need to find your farm still somewhere. It's where, unfortunately, for Infamous, having both the Coddle and the TA, it's not a very balanced lineup. Everybody wants the farm. You're going to see both these greedy cores trying to play the same area of the map, while all of that farm is getting pumped into a single hero on the Four Zoomer side. It's where Costabile easily gets to take everything. Ooh, Alone?
Ooh. Gonna get jumped in on. Able to find the kill. Okay. Dagon now coming in handy. Oscar now rolling forward as well, as they are going to be able to catch out Husky, and find both of the kills. They're going to push further forward here, but not going to be able to get onto Costabile. So, oh, if you're Infamous, honestly, those are two pretty massive kills for them. Still trying to stick around in this game. And despite the difference in the kills right now, net worth-wise, there really isn't a massive difference between them. So, it does look a little bit rough based on the way the last couple of fights had gone, but Infamous are not in desperation mode just yet, especially as the levels on this Dagon for the Keeper of the Light continue to build up.
Yeah, and that's where Infamous's very chaotic nature can certainly come to their advantage here as Gunner gets his blink disabled. Oh no.
The snowball, though,
Scotty
is going to
slow,
pull
though.
him forward, and Alone is dropping. Decrep's going to buy him a little bit of time, but not nearly enough. Gunner finds the kill, and well, now without Alone, they've got to be careful. The rest of Infamous are now just trying to back away.
Yeah, and that's where, unfortunately, he is all of your team fight. They make that smoke without the Rolling Thunder. Really just a few seconds, and it would have been cooling off. But, hey, you know, nobody's free of mistakes here. Unfortunately, that's a pretty costly one. They could have kept those picks going because there is this very nice timing that they can play in where there's no BKBs built up on for Zoomers just yet. But I'm looking at top. I think he's going to get the roll off and then just is going to TP out after he pops his stick charges. Yeah.
Well,
Or
there
he's,
it is. Okay.
I
Very
mean,
delayed, but the TP comes eventually.
A little scary, a little scary. But that is the next timing, I think, for Zoomers. If all of these cores can get their BKBs, I think Moo gritting out for the Helm of the Overlord is something that he might continuously get punished for, as actually Costabile is taking so much magic damage. It's very, very slow Medusa. Very slow
Yeah.
Snake.
Still has an Aegis up, though, so even if they kill him once, they're going to have to get through him a second time, and Jesus. Look at the reinforcements starting to come over. They can't even get through the first life. Gunner, though, well, okay. Just trying to break up the play there. He gets the Walrus Punch onto A, but that's really just to get Costabile out of there, because he does have the Aegis, but doesn't necessarily mean he wants to use it. He's still got a little over a minute left, so they can try and save that for high ground push. Another attempt at a team fight, something of that nature, as Parker jumped in on. Costabile activates a Stone Gaze. Does it hit? Yes, it does. He just gets in front and cancels the TP. And Parker, nowhere to go, no mana to work with, no assistance really coming as his team was on the other side of the map. That is a huge play coming out from 4Zoomers as they find that kill. And now, I mean, without Parker, there's just not enough damage. They can just go for anything that they want now, and Infamous are not going to be in a position to respond.
Yeah, just easy. It's very simple. The Nightmare leading into the kill onto the Weaver as well. Gunner just there with the setup. He's about to have his BKB. A little bit of a detour, you know. I certainly agree, though. It's the only way he dies to this Coddle. Parker's not really outputting the damage just yet. It's going to be a Dagon 3 in just a few moments here for that Keeper of the Light. But at the same time, it's a very seamless transition for 4Zoomers here, especially for Costabile. He's going to slot this Aegis for a BKB. He is really not going to be under too much threat after that. If he can just get his Stone Gaze off, we still know how strong that ability is. It's where the question now for Infamous is, how can we get the Stone Gaze used? How can we disengage? Are we going to die in the kind of intermediary moments that happen in between? But it's where I think, honestly, they are, because their catch is so great on 4Zoomers. It's where you would hope that they would have an Orchid built up by someone. It's where you'd want that kind of happenstance silence to land on Gunner, because they need a way to force out this Tusk's BKB, they need a way to force out the Stone Gaze, and then they need a way to survive after the fact other than Rolling Thunder, because Oscar is just so hard countered in this game.
Cool. Be careful here. They're going to pop the dust onto him. There's going to be the roar as well. Can the Weaver? Nope. Can't even finish the question. He just gets popped. No time lapse forthcoming. Well, 4Zoomers, this is kind of the same scenario that we were seeing ET in the first game, where they built up this sort of big lead in terms of the kill count, in terms of the map control, but we see maybe not hesitation from them in terms of pushing into the base, but a little bit of caution right now. They haven't really pushed all the way in. They haven't threatened the high ground just yet. They're just trying to sort of solidify that lead a little bit further before they go in.
Yeah, it feels like a, again, very easy transition here. And as long as they maintain this chokehold, You know, first Aegis, that gets them to this point in the game. Second Aegis is going to easily lead them onto the high ground. With all these defensive items built up, the question, I think, right now is whether or not Infamous even have enough damage. Because looking over at Parker especially, he's gone for the Lincolns. He is trying to build up defensive capabilities. He's probably going to put this Lincolns on the Pango whenever he rolls in just to stop that grip from going through. But at the same time, it's not just grip, it's the roar, it's the spells to throw out in between. It's just a huge problem that they don't really have an answer to, and more importantly, they don't really have an easy way to smoke out of. Even though they're going for it right now, they need to find that immediate rolling thunder onto a core. He can't drop the chain stun. He has to get, I want to say, at least 3 hits off with that rolling thunder. Otherwise, the game's kind of blown wide open here, and they're going immediately into Forzumer's territory. They're going to get the D word, but at the same time, I don't think Forzumers really need to run up to that high ground either. But this is also very smart. They feel safe. They smoke in between the vision. They're going to take what they can get, and, well, poor A.
Sort of left holding the bag there as the rest of the team just sort of make their escape. So, okay, another kill. Gunner's able to pick it up here. 12-4 now on this position 2 Tusk, and a little over halfway towards that Aghanim Scepter pickup. So, just keep on pushing forward. If you're for Zoomers, just get further and further ahead, and, well, they don't have to... Oh, hold on. They don't have to get maybe too aggressive. Don't need the home run play right now, but if they can catch Parker, be big. But now the slow from the trap means Costabile can't get involved, so Zoomers will just continue to sort of hold this high ground, hold control of the map, because as it stands right now, Infamous can really only get 1 or 2 heroes out to farm at the most. See Oscar working on the opposite side of the map, but his teammates just kind of have to stay back and try and hold the line.
Yeah, and hey, the push is certainly not easy. It's where for Zoomers, they really only have one very simple target to buff up there in the Medusa and Costabile. In going for that defensive BKB so early, he certainly doesn't do very much damage, especially going for the Blink Dagger as well. And I love the Blink Dagger on Medusa, but not building it immediately into the Agi Blink because it comes, you know, in kind of an awkward order just means that they don't have a free push. Infamous are getting their net worth here and there, and I think very importantly, Oscar is actually able to finish up his Lincoln's bottom, and Zoomers aren't going to kill him because, well, for one, they want to keep this vision and maintain this control over by the pit, but it's also where Roche is not cooperating with them, kind of a middle of the path Roche respawn timer, but any time is going to be useful for Infamous here. It's just more items, more net worth that they get to play around with. Well, for Zoomers, of course, they just want every single Roche. They'd want third Roche at this point.
Not really feeling a massive sense of urgency here. Don't feel like they have to be pushed into doing anything. As A, well, that's not where you want to be. Husky's just going to lock him down immediately. And that is a little bit of a freebie there, as your Pugna just kind of keeps getting caught here. 1, 6, and 6 for A. I mean, he has to try and make these plays, right? Has to try and get some vision just so that Infamous aren't trapped in their base forever, but the cost is pretty high if he gets caught out, because he really just has no way of getting himself to safety, especially since he force-staffed onto the high ground in the first place.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't want to blame him too much, as Gunner is insane.
Okay. That's going to pull you pretty damn deep in there. Can they punish this, though? They're not really in a great position. There's the BKB. Parker trying to do it with the physical... Ooh, physical damage very nearly did the job. It's not quite enough. Oscar, though, look at him go. He wants to chase this, but he can't catch up in time. Got...
Oh, now look at Oscar.
Was a nifty trick from Gunner. Yeah.
Oh.
See if Oscar can get away here. Lincoln's popped. He has his TP up in 2 seconds if he can just keep on getting away.
I think he's done it. I think he might be out.
One more
swashbuckle. This is a lot of time. Look at the space.
Yeah. Okay. That is a very nice play. Buying a lot of time. Michael now is going to take his turn.
Yeah.
Hey. Look at that. Infamous.
And none of it matters because they're going to get Roche anyway.
Well, yeah, I guess. But I did want to point out for a moment there, in that jungle, Gunner was low on HP. He snowballed onto the granite golem, but then he also kicked it while he was in the snowball, so that the snowball actually pulled him further away back towards the east. So it didn't end up mattering. Oscar didn't actually catch up to him, but a pretty neat trick from the Tusk there to get a little bit of extra distance. And now he's trying to close the gap onto Michael. not quite able to make that play in time. But again, doesn't really matter because Roshan goes down and we get the Aegis into the hands of the Medusa. Medusa, yeah, gonna keep that shard for herself. So cold-blooded, up and running, and at this point for Zoomers, this might just be what they need to make that push now, go for the high ground play. Really look for the kill shot at this point, as Infamous are still just trying to hold the line and sort of mitigate their casualties.
Yeah, and really, with how much map control four Zoomers have, I almost wish that they would flip where they're playing a little bit here, just because you look over at top, you see how many traps are set up, how obnoxious it's going to be to push up, even if they have the gem, because, well, the gem carrier can't really get all too close, because Moo has not built himself up towards that BKB yet, so he is certainly a target, but at the same time, Infamous are unironically getting a lot of farm here. Not to mention Parker with the Ags now, he can afford to cut these waves. If anybody can break away towards top now, you've got a pretty big problem on four Zoomers, but this is also their go time. This is where they would want to go. There's going to be the traps probably cleaned up in a few moments here, at least I would hope so, but everything is going to be about Rolling Thunder now. Glyph has been forced. If four Zoomers want to fight right now, then it's probably going to be 2 to 3 racks. I think that's where Infamous might not be able to hold. Not to mention, a lot of the Infamous heroes not actually having buyback right now. If any core gets taken down by a pretty deep dive, they are just going to get punished. But Parker is making the time to go back towards this triangle. He is certainly getting the farm now. This Eggs is going to be a huge uptick in his net worth, even though they are searching. There was actually a creep that scouted him out. Oh, Parker.
Cool. Lincoln Sphere coming in handy there as he's able to get away, jumps back to the trap, and, well, he's just fine. Immediately gets that pull back to his own side, and before Zoomers, you just spent resources now trying to search for the TA, and you don't really get anything. That means that the push into the base really can't pick up any more steam either, so...
Look at... Oh. This is honestly well played by Infamous. They're doing the ratty plays. They're doing the creep cuts. I mean, as soon as Michael... It's why the Bane TP's back, is because they know the Weaver is cutting across mid towards top. They know that once their creep wave's dead, they need to focus on actually killing off these heroes, and I think... yeah. Gunnar does just barely have enough there with the DD. Michael does greet out a little bit there, but now they finally get the flip going. Now they're finally going to close off this bottom area as A. Oh, poor A.
Is there anything Parker's willing to do? No, okay. Oh, Oscar comes in with the disarm there, but it's a little bit too late. So A will be sacrificed once again, and I don't know if this is doable. It's a nice little bit of just sort of poke damage, burn through the shield a bit, and just kind of remind Costable that you're there, but not a full-on engagement at this point. But as you were saying before, Infamous, I mean, it's no joke. They're starting to build up a little bit of strength, so all of a sudden on the four Zoomer side, you start maybe thinking, do we need to play with a little bit more of a sense of urgency? Now we see that push onto the high ground, so it looks like the answer from their perspective is yes, as Costable, nice play, blinks himself past that E-Blade, and they will take the tier 3 tower. So starting to get it going a little bit more here, looking to see if they can take the full lane of racks. Ranged is almost certainly going to die here. One more hit. There we go. Now can they get the melee? They want the kill instead. They're going to actually catch out alone. They push him forward. They take him down. No defensive itemization from that Coddle. He does have a buyback, but will he be willing to use it? Yes, he will. Alone, buying back. They're going to try and get onto Costable here, but they need to get through 2 lives, and the Medusa has backup. The rest of the team is sort of waiting for that first life to be thrown away. Now we'll see what kind of move they can make. Moo has the roar. He's got the blink. He just needs a target. They've caught alone again. They kick him out again. Gunnar is just looking for that second kill. They will be able to find it. Now they're onto the Templar Assassin. Fiend's Grip locking Parker down. And they found the big ones. A does die there as well, but it's really the cores dying, and with those cores down, Infamous concede defeat. GG called.
Yeah. Really, just, I think four Zoomers / Nouns just had a really easy time in this game. It didn't feel like there really was that same play. Much better early game, though, for Infamous this time around. I think they really shored up a lot of their problems. As we always talk about, A and Michael having a good early game seems to be the way that they just get started off, but unfortunately, as we've seen so many times already in this tournament, Medusa gets to farm a little bit too soon. They don't get an attempt at that Roche Pit until maybe 20 minutes into the game, because Stabila is a little bit too good at farming, guys. Gets the Scotty, walks in at you. It's just an unbeatable matchup, I think, at that point. And as soon as Alone stopped being that top net worth hero, doesn't have the strongest supporting cast. Maybe if Oscar has a little bit of a cleaner early game, doesn't have those 2 or 3 early deaths, gets that blink dagger a little bit sooner, gets to play in Alone's level spike a little bit more. Again, we're talking about what ifs where four Zoomers just played a very clean, very easy, simple game of Dota. I mean, look at the core stat line, look at the support stat line. Yet again, nobody really died in this game. I guess you could say Gunnar died a lot, but Gunnar also did quite a lot of killing. Gunnar was certainly making the space that Costabile was certainly enveloping. And again, just a very balanced, easy lineup for them to run.
Mm. Just felt like they sort of got the edge on their opponents from the draft once again, and the results are kind of similar, right? Infamous are playing from behind pretty early, and you pointed it out with Alone. You have to sort of stay ahead of the curve there, otherwise you're just not really going to be in a position to lead your team, and that's exactly what happens. He salvages an even stat line, 5-5-3 on your Coddle, but he's really the only one who was able to do anything of significance in this game.
Yeah. And I think Infamous, they don't need to pout, they don't need to be too worried about their score. This is one of the scariest teams in the tournament, but at the same time, I think this is one of those teams where coming into best of three, maybe they're going to be a little bit more geared up for their opponents here. But for Zoomers, certainly still a very scary team.
Looking pretty impressive here. In the meantime, I do believe we've got ourselves an interview. Hold on, let me double check this before I say that. But yeah, I do believe we have an interview here with
Tusk himself.
We have Gunnar. So let me just pull him on in here. Hopefully he's ready to go. If he's not, well, we'll just surprise him anyway. Okay, hello, Gunnar. Can you hear us?
Yep. Hello.
Thanks. Actually,
Congrats.
let me bump you up a little bit here. I want to be able to hear you very clear. Go. So, Gunnar, thank you for taking some time to talk to us after that 2-0 win.
Yeah, it was we actually that was like our first game as a team in the past like 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I think. We played one scrim, I think 4 days ago, but we people have been traveling. I'm still not home yet, so
Right. Yeah. I mean, kind of surprised to hear you say that because you guys didn't really look like a team that hadn't played in a little while. You were just firing on all cylinders for both of those games. And the second game in particular, gonna ask you about this one because the second ET saw you guys pick up that Tusk, he started, ranting and raving about you on this hero in particular. Um, Something that you had been sort of practicing and honing. Now you get the chance to pull it out in this professional match. I mean, how excited were you when you picked up that Tusk?
uh I mean I felt good. Move basically was like we have no idea what they were doing. We were like they can do cuddle mid, they can do pugna mid, they can do last pick mid, so we had no idea. He was like, I'm already a stun, so you can kind of play whatever you want. And then there was a brief pause, and he's like, within reason. And then I was like, what about Tusk? He's like, yeah, sure. And then Tusk was one of the heroes we thought would be good versus Coddle mid, because I think Tusk, like, his weakest is his laning stage. And Coddle kind of gives a free lane to the enemy mid most of the time. That's like the one flaw of Coddle. And so Tusk is good versus in the game because you have a BKB piercing stun, you have catch, you have all this stuff. So when they ended up putting the Coddle mid, I was like, oh cool, this is what we picked Tusk. Well, this is one of the ideas I wanted to pick Tusk into, and they kind of gave it to us.
I mean, you certainly made them regret that impressive stat line from you. So very nicely done. I'm gonna hand it over to ET because we're being told to keep this one short, so I don't want to keep you for
Okay.
too long.
Well, all I gotta ask is nouns, cool stuff, not official, air quotes right now, till you guys get that all sorted out. Any difference? Feeling, sponsored? You guys feel
Feeling
invigorated? No, you guys got the
sponsored.
backing. It's very pog.
Uh, yeah, I mean, it feels good. Like after uh, we looked, I think me and Husky were four Zoomers for like over 2 years.
Yeah.
Like
Mm-hmm.
after that whole thing, it feels pretty good to actually have a sponsor of some sort. And the people were cool. We like talked to them the way they put it. They were like, yeah, we're pretty much just a meme. and we just want to keep supporting all these different people to get our name out, so that we can support more people to get our name out, and that's kind of it. Like, so they seem pretty cool in that sense.
I mean, memes are life. You know, memes
Yeah,
are love, right? Yeah.
memes are pretty big these days. So
Memes are pretty big these days. But thank you all for talking to us. We'll probably see you many more times.
yeah, hopefully we keep doing good. Got a game every day from now on the groups.
True, true.
Well, Gunnar, thank you again. Apologies that can't really pick your brain fully, but we appreciate you coming and talking to us, even if it's just for a couple of minutes. Thank you very much, and good luck moving forward.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Too. Righty. So, we are going to be moving things along here, getting into series number 2. On the day, going to be moving forward to Wildcard versus Osmium. So, another clash between NA and SA squads coming up here in just a few minutes. So, once again, thank you to Gunnar for dropping by for the interview, and we will be, stepping away for just a little bit, ads to play, etc., etc. You know the deal. But we'll be back for the start of that second series in just a few minutes.